back to those questions at the end of the webinar.
Thanks so much, Amanda. That was really interesting stuff. And next up we have Fiona Riedel. And one of the things Fiona is going to talk about today is something that I actually personally felt was one of the biggest things to happen to the world of SEO in 2019. And that was the pretty substantial deterioration of organic click-through rate from the search results. Fiona, what does that mean for SEO in 2020?
Well, I mean, it means a lot. Before we kind of dive into that, I do think we can't talk about 2020 without mentioning the US presidential election. And our prediction here is really that any decision that's made by Google in the next year or so is going to be pretty heavily influenced by the political climate. And what this really means is that those EAT concepts, which is really just expertise, authority, and trust, are going to be more important than ever. So the internet is such a huge part of our culture that the offline and online space really blend together in some pretty interesting ways. And in 2016, we actually saw the internet become something of a political tool, with various media outlets and political players pushing their agendas across multiple digital platforms. This election also gave rise to concepts like fake news and digital privacy, where we saw people lose a lot of trust in the information that they were consuming. Additionally, paranoia really grew about how various entities are mining and using our data. Specifically, this put a lot of emphasis and attention on how internet giants like Facebook and Google are operating. In fact, they actually both landed congressional hearings over their policies. So Google, for instance, they were accused of showing a political bias in their algorithms, as well as mishandling data privacy. As far as data privacy goes, I do think it's important to mention, but it can be a little bit of a rabbit hole because data, the way that Google uses data really helps, make digital marketing so impactful and effective. So I don't want to go too much into the particulars here, but essentially what's happening is that the paranoia surrounding who has access to our personal information and the way that Google does treat user data is really becoming quite controversial. And I think this is going to continue to impact the digital space going into next year, especially given that we've already seen Europe adopt laws surrounding data privacy, and we'll likely see the United States adopt similar laws moving forward. So for now, the bigger focus is really on Google's perceived political bias in their search results. Now, we know that different news sources have different agendas, and they really utilize confirmation bias, right? Which means that they manipulate certain facts in order to tell the narrative that fits their political agendas. So more than ever, people are really seeing through that, right? And that's where the concept of fake news has come, because we're really starting to understand that those news sources can't always be fully trusted to tell us exact, accurate information and facts. So the fear then, when it comes to Google in particular, is that if you search a certain topic in Google, you'd only be served results that fit Google's political agenda. Now, I don't agree that that's true, and it has been debunked by various people within the internet space, but that's the fear, and that's why the eyes are so closely on Google and what it does next. So what would this mean? Well, it can go one of two ways, right? Maybe Google will shy away from making these major algorithm updates, keep quiet for the next year or so, and really keep the heat off of them. Potentially, I mean, this could be also why we saw so many algorithm updates in the last couple of months. They want to get them all out of the way so that they can kind of go into the shadows for a bit, but I don't think so. I think they're going to go the opposite direction. I think they're going to make intentional updates in order to, one, prove their neutrality, eliminate fake news, but then also just serve the user, because ultimately that's what their intent is. They want to serve the user the best experience. So with that, I think we're really going to see them leverage those trust signals through the EAT updates, as well as the diversity updates and other core values that they've expressed in order to really serve the user and make sure they're providing accurate and authoritative information. So what should you as a brand be doing? Well, the key is to make sure that you're focusing on those expertise, authority, and trust signals in your content strategy. Lean into citations, right? Make sure you're citing your sources, preferably using reputable sources, and take advantage of the experts that you have at your disposal to really create authorship within your content. And then most importantly, of course, just make sure that the information that you're serving in your content is accurate. This is especially important right now if you work within the Your Money, Your Life space, right? This means anything related to health, wealth, and happiness. But I think moving into next year, we're really going to see Google take advantage of this and prioritize this across the board. So my next prediction centers around zero-click searches. Amanda went into this a little bit in her slides, but I'm going to take it one step further. My prediction with zero-click searches is that CTR is going to continue to go down, and then it will also drive more and more brands to adopt cross-channel marketing strategies. The reality is that you can't rely solely on Google for traffic and leads anymore. You really have to have a presence on other platforms within the digital space. This isn't necessarily new, but historically everything has been so siloed. We kind of exist in a vacuum in terms of how we manage our SEO teams, our content marketing teams, etc. But I think in 2020, we'll really see more brands take a more holistic approach to all of this. So what are zero-click searches? Google has gotten so advanced at really creating SERP experiences where a user can get all of the information that they need and even perform various actions without even having to leave Google. So you can book hotels directly from the search results. You can make purchases, you can watch videos, you can get answers, all without ever having to click on a non-Google owned result. So we have all these industries where, as Amanda was explaining earlier, major players have really lost a ton of traffic and revenue from Google. And one of the questions that we have going into 2020 is, which industry will Google take over next? You know, there are rumblings that they'll get into the real estate market. It's possible that they'll get into transportation and rideshare. They've already started their foray into healthcare, and that's only going to be expanded. And they have YouTube Live now, so maybe they'll put a horse into the streaming race, right? And let users stream live TV straight from the SERPs. You just never know. And then restaurant reservations seem like a really natural next step. And then we all know they're trying to get into banking, so who knows where that's going to go. So on the positive side, there are positives that are coming out of this. And that's that really the traffic that is going to come through to your site, it's going to be better quality. Bounce rate's going to be down, conversion rate is going to be up. And because this, you know, if a user has gone through the search experience at the top of the search funnel and already gleaned all of this information that they need in that initial research phase, by the time they make it to your site, chances are that they're already prime and ready to convert. So now you're meeting users who are much lower in the funnel. And again, Amanda touched on this with, you know, adding clear conversion paths within your editorial content. So as an example, you have a search result for UCLA tuition. Now imagine that you are looking into schools to apply for. You're at the top of the funnel, really trying to get a sense of what you can afford before you actually start sending in applications. That's the intent here. Now, when you get to the SERP, you immediately, right off the bat, right at the top, are served the exact information that you're looking for. It's right in front of you. On top of that, you're also getting additional information like the average cost after aid, the graduation rate, the acceptance rate. You're getting all of this information and you haven't even made it to UCLA's website yet, right? So when you do make it to the UCLA's website, the chances are that you're much closer to actually applying for the school. So while CTR will go down, conversion rate will go up. Now to bring it back a little bit on the gloomier side, again, the reality is that with all of this real estate kind of taking away from those organic blue links, the competition is stiffer, right? So if you're not winning in these spaces, you're not going to get the visibility that you're looking for. You're not going to generate brand authority or awareness, and you're just not going to get traffic. So there are a couple of things that you can and should be doing. First, you have to have a horse in the race. So you have to pay attention to what's happening on a SERP. And then, like Amanda said, make sure you have the content that matches that intent. So, and on top of that, it's no longer enough to just write a post, publish it, and then leave it to do its thing. You have to put your content in front of your audience. So it's really important to complement your SEO strategy with a content marketing strategy. So with that, the traffic and attention that your content will receive will also contribute to the long-term organic authority of your brand, and then by contrast, make it easier for you to win in these spaces. So at the end of the day, it's really important that your content marketing team and your SEO team are on the same page and are working towards the same goals. And this is also just cost effective, right? You can have your SEO team creating one piece of content and your content marketing team creating another piece of content, or you can have one piece of content that accomplishes both these teams' goals. So the concept of rich results really lends itself nicely to my next prediction, and that's that with more new real estate on the SERP results, you're really going to have to rethink your optimization strategy for branded keywords, because that space is going to become more competitive. We've already seen competition for branded keywords on the paid side, and now with all of this real estate, we're starting to see it really impact the organic side as well. Historically, brands tend to neglect branded keywords based on the assumption that it's really easy to win that top organic result, which in all fairness is relatively accurate, but it's also problematic, and I will show you why. So here's an example of a search result for BMW i8, which is a branded keyword for BMW. The marketing team there probably got a report saying, hey, you're ranking #1 for this keyword. Great, cool, nothing to do here, move on. That's a little bit problematic, right? Because you do see that BMW is winning in that first top result. But then on the right, you see that there's this image panel. Those images are all third-party images. BMW is not present in that space. Then right below that, you have the knowledge panel. These knowledge panels typically pull information from all kinds of various sources. So it's really important to make sure that your branded information is accurate anywhere your brand is mentioned. Then underneath that first organic result, you have that people also ask. And in that very first people also ask, Wikipedia is winning, BMW is not. BMW is winning in one of these people also ask, but the rest are all dominated by third parties. And then underneath that, you have a video carousel. And there again, these are dominated by third parties. BMW is not in that video carousel. So BMW is potentially losing a ton of traffic and visibility on this branded keyword because third parties are winning in these spaces. So what should you do? Well, it's no longer enough to rely solely on that keyword ranking report. You really have to dive deeper and look at what kind of information is being served for your branded keywords, and then make sure that your content strategy reflects that. So for example, if a video carousel is ranking high on the SERP for a branded keyword, you should probably have your own branded video that serves that topic. So the idea of really diving deeper into keyword doesn't just apply to your brand. It's really a bigger part of the direction that SEO is heading on a whole level. So this leads to my next prediction, which is that intent is the new keyword. So SEOs are already starting to shift their focus from keyword research and optimization to more intent-based research and optimization, and they're adjusting their content strategies to focus on these user intent rather than exact match keywords or keyword optimization strategy. Google's moving in that direction as well. In fact, in 2019, the most highly talked about algorithm was the BERT update. Now, Google has outright said that you can't optimize for BERT, so we're not here to teach you how to do that. But this update really did highlight Google's shift to prioritizing intent in their search experience rather than simply matching keywords to content. So what this really means is that you have to do that intent research in order to understand a user's journey beyond simply the words that they're using to search topics in Google. You really have to understand what it is they're looking to do and accomplish, and then craft your content strategy accordingly. My favorite personal example to use to really kind of pull all this together is in the medical field. So in the medical field, it's really common to have colloquial terms for various diseases and conditions, and then you have accepted medical terminology that is very different. So with kind of older keyword research practices, you take whatever version is more highly searched and then optimize your content accordingly, and then you'd move on. However, the reality is that a user searching a colloquial term likely has a much different intent and is at a much different place in the journey than a user who's searching for the more medically accepted term, right? A user searching for a medically accepted term has probably already been diagnosed, knows what the condition is, and is looking for further treatment options, maybe a second opinion, what have you. But if you're searching for those more colloquial terms, you're likely much higher in that user journey. So all in all, your content really needs to reflect user intent. And that's all that I have for you. So like Amanda said, if you have any questions, please go to Twitter and use the hashtag TSA Talk.